Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hysteria Projects. I hope you're having a wonderful day. This is a general message, so take what resonates and leave the rest behind. Whoever I'm talking to, you are somebody who has really been blossoming. Blossoming from the inside out, okay? You've been working on balancing and balancing in a way that is going to be long lasting. Okay, so this is balancing connections, balancing past trauma, even. I'm what I'm feeling is, a balancing between, things that really once brought you turmoil, things that brought you a lot of anger, really diving in to understand those things. And by doing that, you're changing your perspective for for long term. Okay, I'm talking to somebody who is really looking into spirituality, really looking into inner growth. Okay, you're somebody that has been putting a lot of ends and cutting things off that brought sadness, or to situations that felt iffy, or just anything that didn't feel right. You're following your intuition, and you're really connecting with the divine here. You're connecting with spirit, and you're connecting with yourself. By you doing this, this is deeply going to affect how you interact in connections, from here on out. You could be getting your creativity back. You might have been kind of feeling just kind of lazy, and not really wanting to do anything, not really having that spark, and you could start to see that come back. You you blossoming in this way, you're also nurturing things that bring you joy, by you really feeding into the way that you look at the past, the way that you look at things that you've been through. You're stripping it of the weight that it once held, and because you're doing that, it's really lightening you up to just have this peace and to have this harmony in your life. You could be searching into spirituality, trying to find out what your purpose is. What is the meaning of this? To seek out answers. And by you diving into that curiosity, it's leading you down a path that is ultimately going to lead you to happiness and lead you to that joy, because you're putting in the work to have that and to be able to maintain it. Abundance. You're very open to this new path. And it's coming off very dedicated. It's coming off very empowering. It's empowering. Like you're taking your power back. Not just from people, but mentally, you're taking your power back. Because sometimes we can be our own worst enemy. And I'm getting that you're very hopeful. You're very excited. You're very open to what the future is going to hold and what it's going to bring for you. freedom. You know, you're really excited. You're looking forward to this. And with love on the bottom, you know, you're trying to move through your life with love. You know, you're trying to approach every situation in a very loving way. You know, that's got a lot to do with this nurturing and, you know, this balancing internal balance. You're wanting to make better decisions, and because of that, you're learning from the past choices you've made. You're really reflecting and evaluating and very curious, you know. I could be talking to a divine masculine here. Doesn't have to be, you know, if you're not a masculine, then I'm talking to just somebody that really is standing in your power. You know, you're taking the lead of your own happiness, of your own life, and how you deal with things. You know, this Two of Pentacles is finding balance. And you're balancing not just internal things, but you're balancing, you know, connections with friends, family. You're balancing, you know, work. You're balancing everything. You're really taking effort into not overdoing it, but finding that healthy balance between, you know, your own inner needs and life itself, and, you know, spirituality even. You know, you're trying to find that healthy balance with everything, you know, and creativity, you know, hobbies, things like that. So you're very active. You're very much doing a lot that is helping you grow. Like, all of these things that you're doing, these are things that you're pouring into yourself. You're nurturing yourself. You know, with this Four of Pentacles coming out, you know, with this creativity, you know, I felt like your creativity could have been blocked. You could have felt very stagnant, you know, uninspired. And those things are changing, you know. It's almost like because of those things, you started to go deeper within. And you started to question a lot of things too. And by you questioning and by you getting that curiosity, it's re-sparking things in your life. We have this Empress crossing, you know. One of the things that you could be working on is you could be working on trying to be more receptive, maybe to help. You know, you're trying to be a little bit more flexible, you know, with going with the flow. But you really are taking care, and you really are trying to have that balance with everything. And it's like you're a natural leader. You're naturally nurturing. You know, and you've kind of been that way for a lot of people. And now you're finally stepping into that for yourself. Now you're finally presenting to the world that confidence. You know, you're looking forward to adventure. You're looking forward to going out there and having fun and being free and getting to just experience new things and new opportunities. It's exciting. And as of lately, you could have been really focused on just working on your finances, working on your stability, working on just having something more stable, you know, in your life, and being very grateful for what you do have while continuing to work towards better. Yeah, you've really been putting in a lot of hard work. And the hard work you've been putting in, it's going to be long term, you know. A lot of this internal work that you've been putting in, this is things that are going to change the way that you have connections, the way that you express your creativity. I'm getting that you have just like this very kind of free spirit. And sometimes you even cage yourself up a little bit. Sometimes you even like bind yourself up. It's almost like sometimes you're a little afraid of your own freedom. You know, really going out there and having that full adventure, you know. And I think some of that is because you have so much love to give. You are such a genuinely kind person. You're somebody that really is just trying to step through life with love and authenticity, you know, and you have been through a lot. You know, so I think sometimes this caging up of yourself is trying to just protect yourself, you know, but you going down this path, and you really putting in all of this work that you've been putting in. You're becoming more open to getting out there. You're becoming more open to just being fun and kind of, you know, being more active, collaborating with people. And you definitely follow your heart. You know, if your insights tell you to do something, you definitely follow your intuition. And I feel like your intuition is about to lead you towards, you know, really fun adventures. Yeah, and it's been protecting you as well. You know, and you've been protecting yourself. You know, but you've learned a lot. You've gained a lot of knowledge. Yeah, sometimes it stresses you out a little bit to think about this freedom, to really just kind of fly out there. You really do get a little bit stressed out about it. You know, because the world is full of chaos, but there's beauty in the chaos. You know, you valuing your inner peace. You know, if you decide to stay home, you know, and to not go out with your friends, you know, that's perfectly fine. That's you choosing to stay, you know, in your own safe space. That's freedom too. Okay? You know, so really this freedom, it's really just being true to yourself and speaking up for yourself. And we have bravery, big changes. You know, it's a big world out there, and anything can happen. Bad can happen just as easily as good, you know? But that's what makes the world exciting. And I don't feel like you're like trapping yourself up to the point where you're missing out on opportunities here. I don't get that, you know? Like you're closing a lot of doors and you're saying no to a lot of things because you are protecting your peace. You are protecting your happiness. You know? You are doing what you need to do to move in the direction that you're aiming towards. What I'm getting here, though, is, you know, continue to work on being receptive. Continue to work on being open to new people coming into your life. Just being open to new support, new beginnings. You know, let's pull a final. Final message, please. final message, please. Okay. We have crystallized melody. I see my emotions with clarity, allowing my heart's song to guide me on my journey. Continue doing that. Continue going down the path that you're going down. You know, you're making the right decisions and you're being true to yourself. And that's what is important. You know what brings your heart happiness. So keep moving towards that. It feels like everything is just unfolding beautifully as it was meant to unfold. So I hope this message helped. And until next time, bye.